Hey TikTok family, USA Today bestselling author Dan Alatorre coming to you live tonight. Going to spend a little time on tonight's session talking about some of the things that new authors struggle with and giving you some tips to get over those little obstacles and get you on your way to writing. However, when you join in, you can ask whatever questions you want and we'll deal with those too. So some of this I've covered before, so I'll try to cover that briefly if it's a topic we've already gone over. When you start writing a story, you want to make sure you want your finished product to be something that's good, something that people are going to read, something that's fast-paced, okay? So the question is, probably if you wrote it, you like it, how do you make sure it's something other people are going to read? There's a couple different ways to do this. When I first started out, I would post short snippets of little short stories, really short, like, you know, quick little witticisms and things on Facebook. So you get feedback if you do that. Now this was just on my personal page. I'd comment little stories about my daughter because she was a baby. From that, you start to learn, is this something that people would want to read? But the best way if you're going to write a book is to find a critique group. Now, here's what you have to be careful of with a critique group. First of all, I'm going to recommend you not do one in person because they meet once a week or once every 2 weeks. You need to get in the habit of moving the process along faster. If you're going to write a story that's 30 chapters long and the group only meets once every 2 weeks or once a month, you know, it may take you a year or two to get the feedback on that story, and you know, you can just do it faster than that. So I would join an online critique group. The one that I was involved in made you critique two other people's stories so that they would put yours up there and have people critique it. The second thing you want to do there is go find other people whose stories you've enjoyed and ask them in that critique group if they'll look at yours. And let's just apply a poor rule of sales, shall we say. In order to get one person, you may have to ask three, okay? So I'm going to go, again, just for you joining us, for those of you just joining us right now, I'm going to go over some things that new authors struggle with, but feel free to ask any questions at any time. Happy to entertain your questions. Okay, so now you got your story, you want to write your story, you're starting to write your story, you want feedback to see if it's any good. You join a critique group, and whether you've already got the story done and you're placing it chapter by chapter, or if you're writing it and posting a chapter and then writing another chapter and posting it, like I said, in the group I was in, you had to critique two other stories to get people to critique yours, to get yours posted so people could critique it. But what I was also able to do, and anybody in that site was able to do it, was to go read other things that other people had posted. It didn't matter how long they'd been up, 6 months ago or whatever. You could read it and say, well, I really like the way you write. Would you mind having a look at my story? In other words, you have the ability in an online critique group, in most of them, to find good writers and then invite them to read and critique your story. Since everybody's there to get help and to give help and get help, a lot of people will say yes to that. Excuse me. However, like I said, poor rule of sales. In order to get one person, you may have to ask three. So you need more than one person doing a critique for you. Let's suppose you want 5 people doing a critique for you. Well, you may have to ask 15 people to get 5. And then of those 5, maybe only 1 or 2 are really get your wavelength. And then, okay, well, now you got 2 people. That's better than nothing. What I did was I found a bunch of people to read it. I'd get 10 or 12 people critiquing it. And in the end, I would boil it down to about 3 people who I knew understood the material, who also wrote well, whose stories I enjoyed reading. Therefore, I figured they were a good source of input for me, okay? So that's how you can solve that first problem. As far as pacing, we covered that. When you're done with your story, let it sit and then review it. And anything you think is boring or you want to skim, highlight. Anything you actually want to skim, you need to highlight in red. And anything that you kind of feel like could be better, you can highlight in yellow. And everything you're pretty happy with, highlight in green. When you're done, that's you telling you in a visual representation of how to make that story better improved. And we covered some of that in the prior session. Now, again, for those of you just joining us, welcome aboard. Feel free to ask any questions you want. I'm covering some topics that new authors struggle with, but I'm happy to take any questions. And if you miss any section of this, I'm going to post it on YouTube later so you can get the information there if you missed it. Okay, so now we feel like we have a good story, or at least good enough for now, right? But who's the real arbiter of that? The mass world out there that you put your book out to you know, in the world. You publish it and there it goes. If you're an independent author, then that process is going to happen a little sooner than if you're traditionally published. If you're traditionally, you got to go find an agent, you got to get repped, you got to go through an editing process with them, and they're going to make some of those decisions. So this will be more for the traditionally, for the independently published. Okay, so now you want to have some people read it so that there's no typos, that the story flows, okay? And then also you want beta readers when it's done, and the beta readers are basically who you send it to before it's ready for the whole world. Because why? Because if you get 500 reviews that say this book sucks, you're going to wish you'd spend a little more time working on the story. Beta readers can help you with that. When you think it's done, you send it to beta readers. Now, chicken and the egg. How do I send it to beta readers? I don't have any beta readers. How do I get beta readers if I didn't have a story for them to read? And if I have a story for them to read, you need them, right? Okay, so here's what I did. There's a company called Authors XP. What they do is they have contests for people register to win free books, okay? Ladies based out of Clearwater over here. And what I did when I joined them was everybody had a newsletter. So let's suppose you get 20 authors who are all going to post about this contest where you can win free books from all 20 of the authors. And like a grand prize winner is going to win this and other people are going to win this. But at the end, all the 20 participants are going to get all the email addresses of everybody who was interested in joining the contest. So let's suppose I have 1,000 people on my newsletter list and each of the other 19 authors has 1,000 on theirs. That means by joining the contest, your book will have the potential to go to 20,000 people. But wait, you say, I don't have 1,000 people on my newsletter list. You may not have any. Well, then maybe you go around on your social media first and you say, if you'd be interested in, learning a little more, blah, 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 or ask some friends to help you out there and let you put them on your newsletter list. Odds are you'll be able to get enough to join the contest, and they understand. Let's put it this way. When I started out, I didn't have anybody on my newsletter list. I had 300 names, and most of those were no good anymore because I hadn't updated the list for a while. So I was able to join the contest, and in exchange, the first one I did, I think I got 1,500 email addresses. The second one I did 6 months later, I got like 800 email addresses. And in no time, I had like 3,000 people on my newsletter list. I call it a newsletter, but that's for lack of better phrasing, okay? So because I was in those contests and because of the stuff I was writing, I get a bunch of emails. Now, let's apply that poor rule of sales again. If you start out with, let's say you get 1,000 names from the contest. They send you all the names and they send you the countries they're in and all that. Now you got 1,000 emails. Well, guess what? So did all the other 20 people. So they're all going to get a bunch of emails saying, hey, here's my newsletter, buy my book. What I did was I said, if you'd like a free copy of this book, I went to BookFunnel. I put my book on BookFunnel for free. I created a cover for it, and I set it up as a free download. They had to have the code to get it. Then I sent out a newsletter, basically an email, through MailChimp. So the BookFunnel thing at that time was free because I only had the one book. The MailChimp service was free because I only loaded, like they charge you after you have, say, 500 or something. So I only loaded 400. I went through the list and I said, okay, let's take out everybody who's not in the United States. Let's take out, and maybe that took the list down from 1,000 to 600. And I said, okay, let's take everybody out who's, let's just take the first 450 and load them in, and the other 150 we'll come back to another time. Or join a different, mailing list and do that 150 through there. So now I had a bunch of newsletter email addresses on my newsletter, and I send it out. Now, of course, what happens? The industry standard for people opening your newsletter is like 30% or 27% or something. Is really low. Mine is like 70%. 70% of the people open my emails, and we'll get to that in a minute. So now you blast out your email at the same time everybody else is. So it's kind of counterproductive. But poor rule of sales. Something is better than nothing. So you send out 1,000 emails, or you send out, because you were trying to stay under the free limit, you send out 500, 2/3 of them don't reply. But that still means 150 replied. That's 150 people who want to read your book that didn't want to read it before because they didn't know anything about it before. So now you say, great, here's the BookFunnel link. Go read it, be a beta reader, give me your feedback. Beta readers do what? They can do whatever you want. Look for typos. Does the plot make sense? Were you confused by anything? You can even set up questions every 5th chapter saying, who do you think's the bad guy at this point, or whatever. So now you've got some people to look at it. But you can also ask them to do as much or as little work as you want. Some people are going to take the job very seriously, It's not 150 sales. It's just 150 people reviewing the book so that you can start marketing it, making sure the story flows, right? And let's face it, you got 150 people, and maybe some of them can't do it because they're busy with another book. Some of them don't want to do it. But all you need is, a couple of dozen and you're good to go. And to Ellen's point, some of them will buy the book anyway because they like what you're doing. They want to support you. They understand you're helping. And you want to talk to them like friends because they are helping. My beta readers are a huge help to me. So I make sure they know they're a huge help. I thank them personally every time. Okay, so now you've got people taking the book funnel link, which is free. It's an ebook. Some of them, for whatever reason, life happens. They get busy. They can't finish it. They don't give you any feedback. Other people never start it. Some people, it just wasn't a good time for them. So out of the however many you send out, maybe you get 24 back. That would still be a lot. And so what do you want to do? Some of them are really gonna dive in and say, you missed a comma here, you missed this, and tell them, just communicate this in the way that's easiest. What my people tend to do is they type out the line that's incorrect, and then they type what the correct thing should be. A lot of them will say, this is in chapter 5, the 5th paragraph. Okay, you'll find it. Just do a search for place in your manuscript. You'll find the place they're talking about. Now you can fix all those things, but you want to ask them, how was the story? Was anything slow? Did you understand when this happened? Who's your favorite character? Who's your least favorite character? And they like all that. They like having that input and feeling like they're helping. They feel like they're part of a team, and they are. Okay, so now your book has been looked at by other people. The critique group have helped you make it a good book, a good story. The people from the newsletter, from the contest, who are now more or less your beta readers, have made sure it's good. And then you say, next pass, send it out to the same people and say, do you want to be an ARC reader? What's an ARC reader? Advanced Reader Copy, okay? What does that mean? It means, I believe this book is ready to go. I would like you to read it for free. Excuse me. Read it for free. And please post an honest review on Amazon. Now, if they don't like the book, they're still free to post their negative review on Amazon. You want honesty. Trust me, it will hurt if you send out 25 ARC reader books and you get 20 back and they don't like it, or 20 bad reviews. That's going to kill the launch of your book. Typically, I'm not saying this is a rule you want to set, but typically, if somebody didn't like the book as an ARC reader, they understand you're trying to launch it, they're not going to post a negative review. They're just going to post nothing, okay? But you can ask them, when you're done reading it, please reply to me and let me know what you thought. And you'll be able to tell right then and there, they liked it or they didn't like it. And then you say, well, I look forward, would you mind going to Goodreads and Amazon or wherever you want to go to post your honest review. Keyword there, honest. You want to have an honest review. Love it or hate it, please leave a review on Amazon. Now, in the back of your book, the manuscript, you also want to have a little thing, blah, 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 they all lived happily ever after, the end, note from the author, in italics, so they can tell it's not part of the story, which came after the words the end. Hopefully they knew that. Listen, I really appreciate you reading my book. I hope you enjoyed my book. If you have the time, would you mind popping over to Amazon and put in the hyperlink? Amazon, put that as a hyperlink. And Goodreads, put that as a hyperlink. And telling the rest of the world what you thought of it, or saying a few words. Your honest review helps people who like what you like find my book, and I really appreciate it. And then down below that, you say, if you want to be part of my team and maybe read books before anybody else, join my Readers Club. Here's the link. What do you do with that? I have a WordPress site. You can have a free WordPress site. So far, most of this stuff hasn't cost you any money. Go to the WordPress site. It says whatever it says, and there's a link in the tab saying, join my Readers Club. They click on the tab. What does it tell them? It says, there's no cost. You can quit any time. I'll email you periodically just to let you know how the next story is coming, and when it's ready, you get to read it a month or 2 or 6 before everybody else. I got to tell you, once people start liking your stories, they want to read them before everybody else. It's like inside scoop. I get to read this book 2 months before everybody else. Now, of course, you would feel like that if you're reading Stephen King or somebody. Stephen King, I get to read his book 2 months before everybody else. Well, you're not Stephen King, but until Stephen King was Stephen King, he wasn't Stephen King, You got to start somewhere. So now you've got people who will read and review the book, and guess what? You keep track of who you send, like you're going to know their names, like, Dan Alatorre, his email address is such and such. You can ask him, email me. What name do you post your review under? Oh, I post under, Big Star Dan or something, right? And you look up the review, Big Star Dan, gave it 1 star, he didn't like the book. They asked him for an honest review, and he gave you one. But that doesn't mean, it basically means he doesn't like your writing, because you're probably not going to change it too much to the next book. And so maybe he's not the one to keep on your list, because you want the honesty, but you don't want to be sending books to people who don't like it. Okay? That's fair. Now you've got a free critique group to make sure you're writing a good manuscript, tell you how to do snappy dialogue, all that kind of stuff. You got beta readers to make sure you did a good job. You got ARC readers who are going to help you launch it. What's next? Marketing, the dreaded M word, marketing. Okay, so now again, you don't have a lot of money necessarily. Notice I didn't say you paid for a professional editor. You can. Depending on how long your book is, you might spend $500, you might spend $3,000. That's up to you. My personal feeling is if you let 25 people read the book and they didn't see anything wrong with it, as in your beta readers help you catch the mistakes, you get all the mistakes fixed, then you send it out to your ARC readers. Let's say you have 25 ARC readers. If they didn't find any mistakes, it's edited, okay? You kind of crowdsourced the editing. Okay, so now you want to get some sales. Well, you can put your book out there for free on Amazon, and you'll be fighting that day with however many other thousands of books are free. But my suggestion is do this. First of all, apply to BookBub, see if you can get a featured deal. I've told you in the past, it might cost you $650 on BookBub, but they reach a lot of people, and you're almost certainly going to make your money back. That's why everybody wants to be with BookBub. They do a great job. But there are other people who do something similar. Robin Reads, Fussy Librarian, Free Booksy. Those are 3 sites that I can recommend because I've used them. And what do? They decide, okay, I'm going to have a free day on June 1st or May 1st or whatever you want it to be. So you go on the sites and you say, okay, I want a free day. Can I sign up with Robin Reads on this day? Some of them get back to you right away. Some of them you can book it right then and there until it's full. And other ones have to get back with you and let you know. So you want to be a little flexible there. But you only have it free for one day and you try to line up all the sites on the same day. Or maybe it's going to be free every Monday in June. And so you go Robin Reads the first Monday and Free Booksy the second day and Fussy Librarian the third Monday. Maybe not as much bang for your buck, but you got to do what you can do. The reason to spread it out is you'll get bang, bang, bang spread out. Maybe get a little momentum going. The reason to stack them all up is you get a big spike. And maybe that catches more eyeballs. Frankly, I think it's better to do a big spike, do them all at once. Now, I only mentioned those 3 marketing sites because they have different genres. I write murder mysteries. You might write romance. There are lots of sites that do these. I can say all 3 of those do well with romance, including BookBub. So that's technically 4, but BookBub's hard to get into. And not all of them do every genre. So if you write steampunk, steampunk something, mysteries, maybe not all those sites are good for that. These were good for me for murder mysteries. I can almost assure you they're good for romance. What you write in your just little specialty niche, look around and find sites. Ask other people who write in those genres what sites have been good for them for marketing. Okay, now that's to give a free day out, and you're paying to be in a newsletter that announces that free day. Okay, and you can announce it to your people too, and you can tell your people on your newsletter, share this with your friends. My book's going to be free on, June 1st. Next thing I would suggest, again, this doesn't cost anything, is to go to a place that has universal links and create a link that when somebody clicks it, it gives you a tracking number back. So let's suppose that you're doing 3 free days on Robin Reads, Fussy Librarian, and Free Booksy. Maybe you go to Genius Link and create a link, and it'll tell you who clicked where, give you demographic information. Now you're going to end up with a bunch of downloads for free. If you do it on BookBub, you may have 30,000 downloads that are all for free. That day, that one day. Hold on, we're coming back to the next day, but you're only going to have it for free that one day, okay? Robin Reads and all those guys, I would use a Genius Link if you can, but you can't always, so whatever the rules are. Most of those sites you can email back the next day or after the promotion is done and say, how many clicks did my book get? Can you provide me the click information? How many clicks did I get? So let's suppose you end up with 100, just picking a number, 100 downloads, 100 free downloads. You can check on Amazon, that's what you got. And you ask Robin Reads and Fussy Librarian and Free Booksy, I think all 3 of them do it, correct me if I'm wrong, I apologize, that how many clicks did I get? And Robin Reads says we got 50, Fussy Librarian says we got 30, and Free Booksy says we got 20. It'll actually, the numbers will be more than that because there's not going to be each person who clicked bought it or took the free one. but there'll be a ratio. So let's just suppose, maybe it's double. Maybe Robin Reed's got 100, Fussy got 60, and Free Booksy got 40. You'll be able to stack that number up, take the total and apply it to your sales, and you can assume safely that everybody got the number of downloads you got was in relation to how many clicks each site got. In other words, people who are clicking on Robin Reed's, it's going to be a 10-to-1 or whatever it is. That's going to be the same ratio at Fussy and everywhere else. It's not going to be everybody who clicked on it from Robin Reed's ended up downloading it. It just won't be like that. And you can't get more precise, so you have to roll with what you can. Okay? Through trial and error, you'll find other sites, or you'll find out, gee, Fussy doesn't work for me, or Robin Reed's doesn't work for me. Okay, you'll learn as you go. But the first time out of the gate, you'll know who was the best sites for you and how they did. That's just helpful to know, so you can reinvest in the sites that are working for you. All right, now on that, again, May 1st or whatever day it was, you had a zillion free downloads. Maybe it's not going to be 30,000 probably. That would be great. I hope it is. I'm pulling for you. But it probably isn't going to be. What might you expect? Maybe 800 free downloads? Maybe 1,500 free downloads? It's just hard to say. I like to do these free days not necessarily on a Sunday, although Sundays sometimes are fine. Probably not on a Monday, but there's not really any best day. If I had to choose, I'd pick a Friday. Okay? That's just... Is it maybe Friday's 10% better than any other day? I don't know, okay? It's just different people have different days they like. Some like to do it on Thursday. Trial and error. You'll find out which days work for you. All right, now, so you gave away a bunch of free copies. So now people who read the book will be inclined, because you put that link in there saying, please, when you're done, at the end, please, would you mind go leave a review? Now you'll get some more reviews. Those reviews are going to help you sell your book. Or the next time you have a free day, it'll help you because the people who are looking at it the second free day see the reviews from the first ones. The first time you have 3 or 4. The next time you have 20 or 30. The next time you have 50 or 60. And it goes from there, right? In the meantime, people buy the book the day after it was free. Why? Because all those free downloads got it on maybe the #1 free book of steampunk murder mystery on Amazon, and people who like steampunk murder mystery are checking that and seeing it the next day that your book did really well, and maybe they should check it out. Only it's not free anymore, so now they pay whatever they're going to pay, $2.99, $5.99, whatever you charge for your book. Now you're getting sales, a little bit of momentum. People who have it on, people who have Kindle Unlimited see it at the top of a chart for one day, and they check it out and they read it, and you get page reads. So the ball's kind of rolling. But what do you do from there? Maybe you go to Facebook ads and start running some inexpensive Facebook ads. I know one person who ran an ad for $5 a day. I think it was $5 a day. $5 a day, every day, month in, month out. It was $150 for the first month, right? $5 a day for a month is $150. And she was making like $200. If you're investing $150 and getting $200, great. The next month you have $200 to invest if you want. If you invest $200 and you make $300, great. The next month, maybe you can invest $300 and make $500. Sometimes you invest $200 and you only make $195. Sometimes you only make $50. But you learn as you go, okay? And you're not exposing yourself to more money than you can afford to lose. If you don't have $150, remember, how much money have we spent in this process so far? The only thing I said you got to spend money on is Robin Reed's Fussy Librarian and Free Booksy. Maybe the money to join Authors XP, which is like $50. So you're not in for a lot of money. And trust me, if you really want to be a published author and get the ball rolling, save up from your day job and have a couple $100 ready to go for these different things. You're probably going to make that money back. Now, so we knocked all those things out. You're going to learn a lot from writing that first book. So your second book is going to be better. And your third book's going to be even better than that. And if you have the links in the back, join my Readers Club, or please leave a review. You can, when you put out your second book, everybody who bought your first book is, not everybody, but a lot of times Amazon will send an email saying, you've enjoyed this author before. Here's an email saying, hey, they've got a new book coming out. You can put your book on BookBub, like register it there, whatever they call it, and they'll do a new book announcement when you release a new book over there. When you release a new book, they'll announce it. And that's good. So it gets you a little traction. Now, who do you not want to have involved in this process? Don't ask your friends and family to be your editors and beta readers and all that. It's a tricky situation. First of all, they're going to be very inclined not to say anything bad And second of all, if they do say something bad, now you're feeling awkward, but sometimes you got nobody else. But I would say go on social media and say, hey, who would like to do this? Or go to, like I said, Authors XP, spend the $50 and get some email addresses. Everything in this business grows with each pass. So if you only start out with a handful of usable emails, that will grow. Tell them to share it with your friends and email them and act like you're friends to them, because you are. Same with everything else. You put the link in the back of the book, you'll get some reviews from that too. You may decide every 6 months I'm going to give a free day to Robin Reads and Fussy Librarian and Free Booksy. Or maybe once a month until the book catches on, or however long it takes you to write a second book. You want to have the book free a month before, the first book free a month before the second book comes out, you know. What I do is, not only do I have all that, but at the end of my first book, I have a link for the second book. So they can go ahead and click right now. If they enjoyed it, click right now and go pre-order the second book. Well, you're like, well, how do I do that? I haven't written the second book. Well, you can, if you know what reasonable amount of time it's going to take you to write that book, you can put the link out there and have it set for, say it's January 1st when book 1 comes out. You can have a date of December 31st for the second book. You'll still get some, and as December 31st gets closer and closer, you'll get more. Marketing is kind of a non-stop effort. Imagine a balloon, like when you were a kid, you'd hit a balloon, it would go up in the air, not a helium balloon, just a regular balloon. It goes up for a while, and it comes down, you hit it again, it goes up for a while, it comes down. That's marketing. You got to do some things to get your sales up, and then they float back down, do some more to get them up, and float back down. If you don't do any marketing, you won't have any sales. That's almost for sure. You may sell 10 copies to your friends and family and folks at work, but you're going to need more than 10 or 20 to do what you want to do. So do some of these tips. That'll help you out a lot, okay? All right, so if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. In the meantime, these were some things that should help new authors get the ball rolling in various stages of their process. Everybody's at a different point in their process right now, and if you're a reader, this is a happy peek behind the scenes of how some of this stuff works. How long it takes you to write a book is however long it takes you to write a book, but after that, the book exists forever, right? It's not like it's a can of it's not like a head of lettuce on a shelf. It's going to go bad at some point. The book can be forever. It doesn't go bad. So there's no reason not to do these things and do them well. There's one other thing I'll touch on real quick. As far as a cover, a book cover, you can do your own. Unless you're a graphic designer, I recommend you don't. There are pre-made book cover sites that you can go to and you can look through and you can say, okay, there's a lot here and maybe 69 bucks will get you a decent book cover. Okay, so between the 3 advertising sites I told you to go to, the Authors XP and the cover, the pre-made book cover, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, that's less than $500. Okay, so as you're writing your book, sock away, you know, however much each week so that you've got the money to do these things. Or, you know, figure out a way to do it if you want to put on a credit card or whatever, because ultimately your first book is not probably going to be a home run where you can end up retired on a yacht in the Caribbean. But you got to have a first book at some point, and you have more than one good story in you. So all these things I've told you, you might say, I don't have $500. You don't need to have $500. Do the best you can. If you have to do your cover yourself, or if you have a friend who can do the cover for you, or if you could create one from royalty-free images on somewhere where you can get them for free, and you know, maybe it's not the best cover in the world, but maybe when you start making some money, you redo the cover. By the way, I've redone a lot of my covers, not because they weren't good, but because they weren't quite as good as they could be, and so I switched them, and they sold better with the better cover. The better cover might have cost me $300 or $400. The original cover may have cost me $69. Okay, my $69 cover got me to first base. My $400 cover got me all the way around the other bases. I'm fine with that. All right. So again, those are some steps to get you where you need to go. And as always, if you have other questions, feel free to hop on and ask. If you have a question and you didn't get a chance to ask it, or you didn't want to ask it here, just click on one of my videos and ask it there, and I'll either answer it there for you, which I probably will, or I'll do a video explaining it, or I'll do my next live. I'll cover it then. All right. That'll cover it for today, though. Thanks a lot for joining me, and we'll talk to you again soon.